there, I'm Emma Stratton, founder of Punchy.co. We are a messaging consultancy helping B2B tech companies tell their story with clarity and conviction. And I'm super excited to talk to you about how to start leveraging your personas into your positioning and messaging. So let's start with positioning, which is very near and dear to my heart. I'm a massive fan of April Dunford, as you might be as well. And April did a wonderful thing by really bringing positioning into the forefront and to conversations in product marketing, and also defining the term once and for all, because there's a lot of misconceptions and different definitions for positioning out there. But April really explains that positioning is about context, setting context for your product to help people really understand what it is, why it's special, and why it matters to them. So when it comes to leveraging your personas into your positioning, there's a bit of a distinction between what kind of positioning we're talking about. So I like to think of positioning as two ways. There's positioning with a capital P, and there's positioning with a lowercase p. Now, positioning with a capital P is your official company or product positioning, and it's what April Dunford is talking about in her books. It's that high-level context setting for your product that really drives where its place is in the market, who your buyer is, etc. It is a super strategic thing, and it is not going to change with your personas. Rather, your personas should fit nicely underneath this capital P positioning. It should make sense as a natural extension. Now, if you look at your personas and you look up at your capital P positioning and they don't fit, you've got a positioning problem, but I'm sure that's not happening. So positioning with a lowercase p is more casual definition, and I think this is how it's often used in many areas. It's this idea of talking about a different angle of a product based on a certain audience. So it's trying to appeal to a certain audience. It's framing your product differently. Still about context, but more casual. You can change it depending on who you're speaking to. And that will change. That is an opportunity with your personas. And we'll talk about that in a minute when we dive into messaging. But here is an example. If I've confused you with this capital P, lowercase p, here's what I mean. Let's use Asana, a good example here. So at the top, Asana, work management for teams. That is positioning with a capital P. That is how the company is positioned, and it makes it very clear where it fits on the market, what type of solution it is, etc. Below are three examples of positioning with lowercase p. So you'll see these are essentially personas, different teams that would use Asana. They all ladder up to the overall positioning, but there are different value that they're seeing in Asana, different things that they care about. So you'll see the sales team, it's all about closing deals faster. The marketing team cares about getting their launches run smoothly, and the product team is talking about sprints. So while they are all managing their work, each team has different things that they care about and different value that they see in Asana. So this is a great example of big P positioning and little p positioning. As I said, your big P positioning is not going to change. Your personas will not affect it. But now that you know so much about your personas, you do want to create messaging that is relevant to each of them, that is very specific, because that is going to make your overall messaging, your campaigns, your focused marketing activities way more effective. So let's dive into personas and your messaging. So personas are wonderful in terms of messaging. As I said, great messaging is very specific. It speaks to a person rather than a demographic or a construct. It's real. And when you know your persona and you imagine them as a person, it's a great way to create messaging that stands out from all the other stuff you see in this space. So persona-driven messaging, yay, it is a good thing. So I like to think about it here. We've got different personas, different angles, and I like to think about it like a diamond. So this beautiful diamond is your beautiful product, and it's one product. It's It's the same thing, but it's got different facets, and different facets are gonna spark in the eyes of different viewers depending where they are. And that's the same thing with persona messaging. You're talking about the same product, but you're gonna take different angles on it that are really gonna sparkle for your persona. And that's really what you want to achieve. So where do persona messaging fit in your overall product messaging, you may be wondering? Well, here's a visual example of how it fits. Now, I'm not saying you need to create a document that looks exactly like this, but you'll see that at the top is all of your high-level company messaging. So it's that core value proposition that is derived from that positioning with a capital P. It's those key pillars of your product and key benefits. Those don't change. Your persona messaging kind of sits below that. So if you imagine the message going from high level, and then as it goes down, getting more and more specific, diving deeper and getting more specific, that's how it works. Your persona sits down at the bottom, and it's just going deeper on different aspects of that product based on the audience and what they really care about. So when it comes time to crafting your persona messaging, what do you put in there? Right? What do you need? Now, this is what I recommend, and it's by no means the rule. I think at the end of the day, you want to put what serves your needs best, but this is a great place to start. So the first thing I always recommend is top challenge. So every persona is gonna have a different challenge. We've all got different problems, right? So your persona may have many challenges, we all do, but I really want to push you to just choose one core challenge, the most motivating one in their eyes, and really hone in on that. And once you've honed in on that top challenge, then you want to come up with your core value statement. Think of it like a mini value prop for that persona. What is the number one end benefits that they're going to get from your product? And it's going to be tied directly to that top challenge. It's the solution to that top challenge, if you will. And underneath that, you're gonna have some supporting benefits that underpin that value statement, bring it to life, and give you different examples of how you make it so. So 3, 4 benefit statements. And here's what it's gonna, well, let me show you what it's gonna look like. Because if you're a visual person like me, you're like, what does this thing look like? So I'm gonna use an example with Zoom Info. So this is not their information, I'm just making it up, but using them as an example. So they're a sales intelligence solution. They sell B2B sales intelligence prospecting information to sales teams, recruiters, marketing teams, all types of people who are doing outbound and inbound efforts to drive business. So I imagine these are the personas that they would have. So I've got 4 here, and they're all different. You know, whether it's you're a prospector in new business development, head of sales, a recruiter, VP of marketing, just come up with my personas. And then I bring it all into a framework. And I like to have, you know, I like to have the picture, but you can just have the persona name at the top just to make it very clear. And you've got that top challenge for everyone. As you'll see, it's something very short. So this isn't gonna necessarily be customer-facing copy that you're putting in here. This is just what is the core message, right? What is the core information, core idea we wanna get across? So if you can keep it tight and clear, that is great. So building pipeline, improving ROI, growing revenue, finding the right candidate. Keep it very simple, very focused. Then you'll see below, we've got the value statement. So, you know, boosting conversion rates, selling smarter and faster, etc. And underneath that, of course, we've got some great benefits that really bring that value statement to life. Now, you may see that some of these are similar, and it is common with certain personas where you might have a lot of overlap. So in doing this exercise, you might think, these 2 personas are basically the same when it comes to what they care about. And if that is true, feel free to just create one column, one messaging strategy for both personas. You don't have to duplicate efforts. There's no prizes for that. If it makes sense, you can just have the same messaging for those 2 personas. That's perfectly fine. And if you have distinct personas, people that are super different, then you want to make sure you definitely have the messaging clear for each persona lined out really well. And the wonderful thing about, doing this document is it's just going to serve you for a really long time. So this is going to be something that really helps you create content that is super relevant to your audience. So it's going to be really helpful for your content teams. Every time you're coming up with new ideas for content or campaigns, you just go back to the sheet just to remember, okay, what's really on their mind? What's that challenge that we solve? And then you can come up with really interesting ways to bring that value statement to life and show off some of those supporting benefits. It's a great way to start telling a deeper, more nuanced story about your product in a way that really resonates with your target audience.